Okay, we're here for workshop number 2 of the audio show division. And we're going to do two things today. Primarily, I'm going to listen to some verbal pitches, and I want to, kind of hear how you guys are going about those presentations, and we'll throw in some conflict, maybe a little bit of questions or objections, and see how you guys handle it, and have a little fun with some role play. And again, this is whether you nail it or you don't, it's okay. We're early in the process, and that's why we're doing this, is to share ideas and hear each other, and you know um, just help each other along. But before we get into that, you may have noticed that there were some action items on that worksheet after our last workshop. And let me go ahead and screen share here with you my little action plan here. Okay. Ah, is it not? There, it's working, right? You can see it now. Okay. So I had put this at the bottom of the worksheet last time, and prepping to provide evidence. And I'm actually going to start with the last little slide first, because it's about building relationships. Trust is the key factor when making. Oh, Simone is here. Okay. Trust is the key factor when making business to business sales. Trust takes time to build, and the more evidence you have, the quicker the prospect will gain the trust level needed to buy. So, how do we go about building some evidence? Well, first of all, if you haven't done this already, you really want to get on this. Update your LinkedIn profile, your personal website, any other social media that you use that you plan to share with potential buyers, that include references to your book, the show you're building, and ties to both New Degree Press and studios, as well as any professional or collegiate affiliations that are geared towards alignment between your show and buyer prospects. So we're connecting it all in, so that when they look you up on the internet, who is this person? They're going to see, not just when they get to your LinkedIn that they see other stuff you're doing, but they see that it's all tied in. You have to update all this stuff to include what you're doing right now with the show. And this is really important. Use only credentials that, should the buyer call somebody there, they're going to agree that you were affiliated with them or worked for them in the past, right? So no fudging it. You want to make sure that the evidence they give you, sometimes people will make those phone calls, say, hey, I'm just calling to find out, is this guy Alan Zatko, was he on your staff, or did he work with you on this project he says he did? And how was he on that project? And they'll get some insight. So your ebook and attendees page prepped. Of course, I know you're all working hard with your producers to get that attendees homepage site ready. And you should definitely have a version of your ebook ready to send through emails at a moment's notice, because that's huge amount of evidence. So again, this isn't a big slideshow like the first workshop, that's it. But I wanted to touch on all of that a little bit, and also kind of discuss a little bit about, when to bring those materials up during the verbal pitch, which you want to do towards the end of it. When you get into your close and you tell them, about their buying choices and what you want to, um, uh, get them to buy 3 ads at $9,000 or whatever. Here's Michelle. And of course, we want to tell them about that big season one if they want to put 60 or 80 grand in or whatever you have decided to, charge for that. Um, the the bottom line is that we have to remember that typically speaking, the first time we talk to people, the close is not the real close because as I mentioned in our first presentation, you're probably not going to close them there. But they expect you to close them because now they know what the deal is. And that opens us up into the deeper water conversations. And I gave you some paperwork on deeper waters. And I call it deeper waters because the conversation can go in any direction there. They could ask you about yourself. They could ask you more about the project or the concept. They could ask you more about New Degree Studios. They could, ask you more about a lot of different things. So they can ask you more about the pricing. Let's get into more specifics. What do I get with if I'm going to go with the premium versus just the regular ads? So I call it deeper waters because you have to be ready to zig and zag all the way, where you're in full control of the pitch up until that point, but you want it to go that way because the more interactivity you have with them, the more talking they're doing, and the more questions they're asking, the better it's going. A bad pitch is when you're doing the talking and they're sitting there all silent. That's how you know that your pitch is going badly, actually. So when there's interactivity and there's a lot of connection going on, that's when you know it's going well. And, they might say, well, this is really, really interesting, but, um, tell me more about yourself. And after you don't go into a long diatribe about it, say, here's some things that I've done that are related to the project. If you want to find out more about me or the thing, I want to send you a copy of my ebook. And here's my, here's some of the other ways that you can look me up. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, don't give them, everybody knows the LinkedIn address. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on this. You can check me out, um, they may even ask for reference. You have some references that, like I have people um in the entertainment industry that will vouch for me. They have said, yes, you can use me as a reference. So it's good to have those in advance if you need to. And so again, you're working towards this relationship. You're building trust. Now, this doesn't mean that you might not nail it and close them right there and then. That would be awesome. But we have to be prepared for the fact that the first call we make is really about establishing the product, establishing who you are, and starting that relationship. And it's going to take 2 to 4 sales meetings with them to actually close them. And that's what often is the case, because again, people are scam artists want to close you quick. If you're trying to close somebody too quick, right? They get nervous about it. And you've probably been on the other side of that, right? You've probably been on the other side. I don't know this person. They're trying to sell me. Like, slow down, slow your roll. I need to know more about this product, or I need to know more about you before I'm getting, taking out my credit card. And so we have to be respectful of the fact that, unless this is someone you've already done business with, unless they know you already, you have a relationship, that they're going to want to know more about you. They're going to want to know more about the show. They might want to know more about New Degree Studios. The good news is that we're all legitimate. We're really building this show. New Degree Studios is a real entity. We're a real B corporation with a 90% rating from the US government. We really have published 1,200 authors. So we're real, and they can get, if they need to, they can get a meeting with me. I'm sure that Brian Breeze would take a meeting in order to secure a nice sale. Brian's good that way. We want to do what we can to help you guys. That's obviously not your go-to, like, oh, don't put that out there. But if they ask for it, if they're like, we really kind of want to talk to somebody at the company, You say there's no problem with that. The director of the program will be happy to take a meeting with you, because I will, you know. And as you guys see, I'm an amiable, friendly guy. I can back you up and support you and talk about, New Degree and what we bring to the table and how we're going to go about it in a way that should provide them with confidence. I even have 4 full seasons from creators that were in our experimental one. So if they're like, we really need to hear the production value, I can provide that to them. So you should know that we have all the ammunition to back your play. I just want you to not get frustrated if these calls go into deeper waters, because you should expect them to. That doesn't mean you're losing. It means you're winning. When they start objecting, that means you're winning, because that's how sales calls go. And we're going to practice a little bit of that today. Who would like to go first? Pitch me your show. Let's go. And most of you, by the way, don't know Simone. You do know Michelle because she's your producer, but Simone is also a producer on our staff. Hello, Simone. Wait, we can't hear you. Now we can.
Sorry, I'll turn on quickly just to say hi because I am on my phone. So, but
Okay.
hello everyone. Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
I know,
All right.
nice to see you.
I'll be a guinea pig.
Oh, good. Okay, we have a volunteer.
Go, Natalie.
Go, Natalie.
So you guys will. There we go. We'll
Okay.
give it a shot.
So do you want to pretend that we're that you're in a Zoom call with me, or do you want to do like a phone meeting? What
Let's go for a phone meeting.
Okay. All right.
And let me see. Hang on a second. I have a list of people, but I want to see which one I want to go for.
Okay. That you want me to pretend to be, or
yeah, no,
okay.
Yeah, you're Accenture.
Okay.
So should I tell people a little bit about what I'm doing, or just let it be a surprise?
No, God, pitch us. If you pitch it correctly, we should all know.
Okay, terrific. Okay, so you have to forgive me because I'm sort of like, my plan is to practice before I get on so I don't sound like I'm reading.
But that's why we're here. This is practice. I want you all to feel comfortable. I don't want this is not the performance. This is the first rehearsal. It's not even a dress rehearsal. That's why I wanted to do this, to break the ice, to get us listening to each other and helping each other. So don't be nervous. I know it's easy for me to say, don't be nervous, but that's impossible. I probably made you 10 times as nervous by saying don't be nervous, but just enjoy it.
Be relaxed.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name's Natalie Luke, and I'm a published author with New Degree Press, and my publishing company had loved my book so much that they offered to co-create a full season of an audio show with me. And I'm reaching out to you because I felt like our messaging has a lot in common.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I learned that your company actively promotes women into leadership programs.
Yes, we do.
And it would be great for my listeners to learn more about you and your successes, about your progressive company, because my show is about women, and every day women fight to break through the glass ceiling, to gain equal opportunities and prove they're just as capable as men. Throughout this 8-episode radio series, women will share personal experiences, research, and practical tools to help empower other women and employers in creating a more equitable and thriving work environment. I believe this links you and your organization to this show. And I hope from this premise, you could see a correlation between my show and your company, and that we're natural business partners. And I'd love to be able to talk with you about that and how you can support the show.
Okay, I mean, that certainly sounds very interesting to me. We definitely have programs like that. But I'm sorry, I'm not really getting what it is that you want from me exactly. Do you want us, it sounds like you want us to be part of the show. What exactly are you looking for from us?
I'm looking for two things. I'd love to have you on the show, but I'm also looking for sponsorship for
Okay.
the show.
And what, when you say sponsorship, what do you mean specifically by that?
So what we're looking for, what I'm looking for are 20-second sponsorships, and we have a few options available. One where you can be a super sponsor of multiple shows, and others where maybe you sponsor one show.
So one episode or multiple episodes.
Exactly.
Okay. And then what would be our price point on
For one show, oh, okay, so I don't have my script open for this. So
that?
so just bear with me a second, because like my plan is to have all my scripts there, so I'm not.
I understand that. How much are you planning to charge for the episodes though?
For one episode, it's 3,500 for the 20-second slot. And if you would like to become a super sponsor, then we can look at several different options. If you do more than two, I forget what it was. I think it was like $6,000 for two or more shows, or two shows. Is that right? I
Okay.
forget.
Well, here I'm gonna stop here because I have a lot of good notes already for you.
Okay.
Natalie. So first thing I'm gonna tell you guys, and I've told you during the original presentation, it's the hardest thing. Your log line is 1 or 2 sentences, not
Okay.
4, not 5. You have to cut that in half.
Okay.
And it's hard because I know that you want to get all that in. But what's
Okay.
the core? See, a log line is not an explanation. A log line is a snappy pitch. Okay. The log line for the movie Cujo, Stephen King's Cujo, was Jaws with pause.
Ah, Jaws with
Okay.
claws.
With pause because it was a dog, because Cujo was the dog. So Jaws with pause. And so when you look at log lines online and understand you're pitching a show.
Mhm.
So when you pitch a show, the elevator pitch is just a very necessary component where it's snap bang. Here's what it's about. Boom, boom. We're going for the essence of this. And then what I want you to flip something that you're doing there, Natalie. What I want you to do is give them that log line and then immediately go, so you see how this correlates to, to your business and how we're doing. If they say no, then do the rest of what you did there.
Okay.
You see?
Like my homework and all that stuff.
Well, you basically gave like a 6 line pitch there, right?
Yeah.
So you just give them the core. What you do is you give them the log line, which will be snappy, 1 sentence or 2 sentences.
Okay.
Right? And then you immediately, as part of that, you say, so now you've heard the premise of the show. You can see how that why I feel our messaging is aligned, something along those lines. And if they go, yeah, they're going to take it from there. They're going to take the ball and start rolling. If they go, I'm a little confused as to why, then you have all the rest of that good stuff that you mentioned there.
Okay.
That you go, okay, let me explain, because we're doing it, and then all the stuff you said there was good information. It's just the presentation. You want to be a little slicker with your presentation. And
Okay.
so that's why we do it that way. Remember, interactivity is the key in these conversations. And so if you're going to do a 5 or 6 line, they're trying to absorb this on the phone. They don't know you.
Yeah.
They're trying to absorb all of this. It's too much. And they're just going to tune it out. That's what happens. And you
Okay.
lose them before, you never really get them. But if you keep it snappy and you go, bip, I mean, the introduction was right. That was the introduction that we gave you in the presentation. You did that right. Obviously, once you practice that, you're going to get smoother with that. You're going to say, um, and then you give the log line, and then you flip it to them.
Okay.
You see, and it's interactivity. It's like, so you see how this correlates to your show. Now they're talking. That's what
Okay.
you see.
So can I try this again?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Natalie Luke, a publisher with New Degree
That's
Hi, I'm
okay.
Natalie Luke, and I'm a published author at New Degree Press. And my publishing company loved my book so much that they offered to co-create a full season of an audio show with me. And
That's
I'm
great.
calling,
Yeah.
thank you. And I'm calling you because I feel our messaging has a lot in common, and I'd love
Okay.
for your company to become a sponsor of my show, primarily through purchasing 20-second advertisements.
Okay,
Because-
great.
Yeah, so my show is about women who fight every day to break through the glass ceiling, and this show is to empower women at work. So you see how I might want you as a sponsor for the show, right?
Oh, because we have our programs here that are about empowering women.
Exactly.
So, okay, I see where we're going with. You see how that interactivity happens naturally when you keep it short and you flip it back to them?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the key to these phone pitches, is flipping it back to them and keeping them interested by keeping them engaged. It's a very different dynamic than if you're giving a lecture or anything like that, because the key really is the back and forth more than anything else, right? And giving them little bits of information. I'm just gonna give you a little taste. I'm gonna give you a little taste. I'm gonna give you a little taste. And every taste I give you is another bite where we're moving things forward and you're understanding what I want from you. And actually, you are much better at translating the idea that you want them to be a sponsor and buy 20-second ads. That came out really crisp this time. And and I know that you're going to refine your log line. You were just kind of playing with it there. You just took a piece. You did that well in the improv. So excellent. As far as your sponsorship pricing piece, I think you should kind of keep it simple. So what I had mentioned in the presentation originally was the idea that they could be a full season sponsor and be in every episode for an outrageous price of $60,000 or $80,000, or they could buy episodes at whatever the price you want it to be, 3,500 a piece, whatever it is, right? If you start doing these kinds of things where it's like, if you buy one, it's 3,500. If you buy three, it's
Too much.
6,000. It overcomplicates it. Where if I go, listen, it's 3,000 an ad. You want one, you want two, you want three. It's just, they don't have to think about that. They don't have to think about, why is one 3,000 and two,
Yeah, that would
60,
kind of
why is one 3,500 and two 6,000? Like,
Yeah.
why are you cutting $500 off if I just buy one other ad? Nobody does that, right? It's not really a thing. So just listen, guys, you're all going to do this at some point. All three of you will go rogue on me. Okay. That's another reason why I have workshops, so I can find out what you're doing, so I can reel you back in. Michelle's here, Simone's here. We're going to find out. Don't go rogue on us. Stick with the program. And it's okay, but you understand that even you couldn't pitch it when you had multiple price points.
It was
But
confusing.
go, it's $3,000 a piece. There's nothing to think about there.
Right.
You want three?
60,000 for this season.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I pitched it that way. Do you want
Okay.
60,000? You'll be featured in all 8 of my episodes, and you get some other perks too that we can, discuss later. And when you say that, in their mind, they're going, oh, what are the other perks, right? So
Mhm.
then later on, they're going to, when you get into deeper waters, they're going to ask that. You mentioned some perks if I do a full season. I'm just curious. I mean, we're probably not going to do a 60,000 price point. I need to talk to my boss to do that. But just so I know, now there's interactivity. They're asking. And what's going on is they're disqualifying the 60,000. So now
Mhm.
maybe they'll buy 6,000 or 9,000. We've got them. We
Mhm.
own them now. We own the situation. You understand?
Mhm.
That's why, if you give them 6,000 or 3,000, they're going to buy the 3,000. If you give them 60,000 or 9,000, they're going to buy the 9,000. That's
Right.
psychology. Just don't be intimidated by that, and understand that in corporate sales, $6,000, $9,000, these are not huge prices for companies and entities. On a personal level, you go, I got to take $9,000 out of my bank account and do such and such with it. I got to fix the roof, and get a new roof or whatever. I got to get a new, hydraulic air conditioning system or whatever. This happens, right? So it's a lot of money to us. It's sock draw money to these people. It's only $3,000 an app. You're gonna be surprised when people go, why so little? That's an objection, by the way.
Mm.
Why so little? And then my answer, it's not on the sheet. I'm going to put it on the sheet. Because this is the first season of the show, and we
Mhm.
really want to drive sales. We really want to build this. We're going to prove to you that you're going to be with us in season 2 and season 3 when we're charging higher premium prices. You're going to be happy to pay them because we've built our audience up. Oh, I'll take 5. Who wants to go next? Great job. Thank you for
Breaking the ice.
yes, breaking the ice for us, Natalie. Wonderful job. Who's next? Who's going next? There's only 2 of you. Don't make me choose. Okay, go ahead. On my left. Yeah.
Let me go get my pitch. Oh, who's going next? Is it
It's you.
Colette? Oh, it's
Oh,
me.
yeah. Well, oh, you don't have it with you?
Yeah, no, I have it with me. I've
Oh.
got it right in front of me.
Okay, good. Well, you're
Okay.
up, and then Colette will follow up behind you.
Okay. Hello. I hope your year is going well so far.
Well, you got to
And for
introduce
you,
yourself. You're going to be you're doing a sales call, not with me, Alan
Yeah.
Zacco, the director of AV program. This is a cold call on the phone with someone you've never met. So the first
Okay.
thing you want to do is introduce yourself.
Okay.
And make sure that they know who they're talking to. That's really important.
Okay. Hello. I hope
Hi.
everything is going well.
Thank you.
My name is Unesu Kasiamuru. I'm a published author at New Degree Press of a book entitled The Art of Decisiveness, The Art of Decisive Leadership. My publishing company liked my book so much that they offered to co-create the full season of an audio show with me. And I'm calling you right now because I feel that we have a lot in common with you and your brand at Audible. I would love for you to become a sponsor of my show, The Art of Decisiveness in Practice, primarily through purchasing 20-second advertisement slots before a specific segment of the show that focuses on the aspect of powerfully narrated audiobooks and public speaking.
Okay. So that's great. What kind of price points are we talking about when we talk about these sponsorships?
So with regards to the price points, what we would want you to do, what we would want specifically from you is every time we basically try to focus on content that is themed towards what your business basically tries to focus or is centered around, we would want you on as a segment sponsor who would sponsor for, say, $3,000 each time we speak about audio books or we speak about anything to do with oratory. and maybe potentially do a show on audiobooks or any book reviews. So it would just be maybe 3,000 to 9,000, and it would be dependent on how many times we basically try to focus on that particular content within the show.
Okay.
So it's
So basically you're saying 1 to 3, you're not sure if you've got 3 spots for me? It sound a little I'm trying to figure out what you're saying here.
so
3,000
it
to
will not depend
9,000.
on how the content is working. So we should have about 4 slots for you, which would amount to about 12,000
Now you've
for
changed the
each
price
time
point
12
again.
to
So you understand, and you did the same exact thing that Natalie did, which was you overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
So this is why we're doing this workshop, because this is a common mistake that people make. And it's, listen, when I was first starting pitching people, I did the same thing. There's the rule, the KISS rule. You're familiar with the KISS rule? Keep it simple,
Yeah.
stupid. You know what I mean? And so the more you complicate it, and remember, it's much easier to get into more sophisticated details when you're in a Zoom call and you can see the other person. When you're in a phone call with someone and they don't know you, and you got to keep it simple. Don't, you did 3,000 to 9,000. We didn't make that quite clear. Then you said, no, we can do 4 at 12,000. So here's what's interesting. The first wave, the first wave where you mentioned the 3,000 price point, you said, we'll do it 3,000. Even Natalie nodded her head like, okay, I get this. Like I was watching, but then you overcomplicated it. So here's what you want to do. You just want to keep it simple, because people understand they're buying advertising in an audio show. They understand that. You don't have to explain that as comprehensively as you're trying to. You're overcomplicating the pitch by going, hey, listen, if I was going to pitch this to someone, I go, here's what we're doing. Okay. You can be you can, and again, you didn't do the full season one. You want to give them you want to give them one that they're going to say no to. Because if you don't, they're going to say no to the one that you want them to buy.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so for me, it's a simple, hey, here's what we're doing. Okay. I've got this audio show and I'm going to have, now Natalie mentioned how many episodes she had, which created a nice framework. You didn't do that. So you might want to incorporate that. It was a good detail that Natalie added. And, you go, listen, I've got 8 episodes for a full season, and you can be a full season partner with us, a full sponsor for 60,000. But but our other option is that you can just take 20-second spots in a couple of the episodes, and we're doing that at $3,000 a pop.
Okay.
And we'd really like you to come in, between 3 to 5 segments throughout the season. We know there's going to be opportune moments. Here's how I would phrase what you're trying to say. I say, we know there's going to be opportune moments where what we're speaking about really, really keys in on what your company's message is. So,
okay. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Keep it simple. To really just drive points home again, just like I was saying to Natalie. The more talking you're doing, the more complicated things are getting, the less interactivity we're having, and the worse your pitch is getting. But when you keep it just snap, 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 and throw it back to them, and we're talking about it, then it works. You want to take another go? I let Natalie have 2 goes. Let's take another go, and then Colette will get her 2 goes.
Okay. Let me go back. Hello, hope you're doing well. My name is Sheonesu Kasiamu, a published author with New Degree Press. My book is called The Art of Decisiveness, The Art of Decisive Leadership. And my publishing company liked it so much that they offered to co-create a full season of the audio show with me. So I'm basically contacting you because I feel like my messaging has a lot in common with you and your brand at Audible. And I would like for your company to come in and purchase 20-second advertisement slots before specific segments of the show that focus on the aspect of powerfully narrated audiobooks and public speaking.
Okay. Well, that's very
Hello?
interesting. You know, so how long is the show going to be? How many episodes you doing? You know, because this does sound very interesting to me.
It's going to basically have 8 episodes. And the show is going to have those specific segments which we would allow you to purchase a spot for about $3,000.
Okay. And so I don't really know anything about the publishing company. What'd you say, New Degree? Could you tell me a little bit more about
New
them?
Degree Press.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's a new publishing company that was established in Washington, D.C. It basically allows, it's hybrid publishing, which basically allows individuals to have certain aspects of the traditional aspect of publishing, where you have a traditional team, you've got your editors, you've got your marketing editors. You've
Okay,
got
sure,
your
but
acquiring
I thought
editors,
and
and
you're tell me about the studio part of it, like, you know,
yes,
because
the
you're making
studio
the
part
show.
of it is newly established, and it's being headed currently by Alan Zatko, a prominent publisher who's based in Miami, but is currently contracted and works with New Degree Press. So they basically are the ones who are going to be assisting me to produce the show over the next 8 months.
Okay.
And they've already set up a separate division specifically tailored to this.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you, you know, I have to think about this. You know, I'd like some more information from you about it. I can give you an email address. You know, what can I see? What can you show me regarding this?
Well, it's a lot of different pages that we have presented for us. So currently we have an attendees page that focuses a lot on what the show is going to be about. It goes into detail. It's also got a detailed video where I'm explaining exactly what the whole entire program is going to constitute. I've also got an ebook available for you about my book, which is basically where majority of
I'm sorry, an ebook about your book? Is that what you just said?
an ebook copy of my book. Right?
Oh, okay,
Sorry
gotcha.
about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where you'll get a lot.
Oh, so I
more
can read
information.
your actual book. So
Yes,
how much
definitely.
of the show is going to be coming from the book?
Well, most of the basic themes of the entire program or of the entire show are basically going to be built upon the 9 pillars that I speak about in my book.
Oh,
The
that's
only
very
difference-
interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. So I definitely want to read the book, and then, you know, we'll talk about whether or not this is right for us, you know, down the road. We'll take some more meetings, you know, once I've had a chance to review that. Let me go ahead and, you know, give you my email, and you can send me that.
Okay, cool. I'll be sure to do so, and look forward to speaking to you again.
Me too. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks so much.
So couple things, because again, as you guys kind of go back over things and do it better, one of the reasons I wanted to do this was because once we get into deeper waters, you're going to be asked a lot of questions. And there's clearly, first of all, I need to give you guys a little blurb about me, which I didn't do. Because, you know, because I'm in Tampa, first of all, not Miami, but that's okay.
Okay.
But you know, um, it, you guys really don't have to mention me during your pitch. And probably shouldn't, but if they, unless they say, listen, we'd really like to talk to somebody. No, you talk to the director of the program. Al Zatko, he's been involved in the entertainment industry for 20 years, no problem, you know. And if they really want to know something about me, you can just tell them I helped develop the original pitch for the show that became The Deuce on HBO, which is a true fact. So, you know, so that's a credential. It was, you know, me and producer Mark Henry Johnson, and we pitched David Simon and George Pelecanos. They flew into New York City to see us, and it was the four of us and the person who created the show, whose life The Deuce was about. It's just the five of us in New York City, and so uh, so you wouldn't tell them all that, but you would just say, I'm just giving you some context. That basically, if they're like, who's really in charge of this? Al Zatko, he was involved in, he understands how to make shows. He was involved. He helped pitch The Deuce, to David Simon and George Pelecanos. He's got some chops, and that's all they're going to need to hear. You're not going to have to go into further detail. And they go, oh, tell us more about that. You go, you know what? I don't really know much more about it. But if you need to take a meeting with Alan, he'll take one with you. I mean, that's how you could do that, and that'd be fine. And I will. I'm happy to take on. Then they're going to say, okay, tell us about, that, and I'll just tell them what happened. Um.
Anything
So
else
go ahead.
was it anything else that you might say?
Yeah.
I need to.
So the
as we
other
get into
the other thing for me, is, again, this is just about practice makes perfect, and coming up with really short, succinct answers for every objection and every question. And what you really want to do is start pitching your friends and family. You need to do this with other people. Get into these weekly meetings you're having with Michelle and pitch Michelle, and let them object. Let them ask questions. Let them do this, because you need to have snappy answers for everything. Because what happens is, and I knew this was going to happen, and we haven't heard Colette yet, but it will happen to you too. That once you get off the script and someone asks you a question that you don't have a script for, it starts to get a little choppy, a little sloppy, right? So that's to be expected early on. But what we want is for that to happen in these meetings and not when you're actually in the pitches. We want to, that's why, again, one of my favorite quotes by Master Bruce Lee: I'm not afraid of the person who's practiced 1,000 different kicks one time. I am afraid of the person who's practiced one kick 1,000 times. So this is the kick that you need to practice, because you keep pitching it, you keep pitching it, you keep pitching it, you keep pitching it. It's going to be, you won't need the script. You'll be able to do this in your sleep, but that only happens when you pitch it and you pitch it and you pitch it and you pitch it. So pick people, friends and family and colleagues. So I'm just going to pitch you my show, and I want you to ask me anything that comes to mind. Doesn't matter how crazy the question is that comes to mind, because you'd rather hear a crazy question from friends or family and go get thrown off there and go, I need an answer for that. They might ask that, than for it to happen live in a meeting where you're unprepared. Okay, Colette, it's your turn. I know you have to go in 10 minutes now, or even 5 minutes, right? So it's okay. If that happens, you'll be able to watch the end of this is recorded, and you'll be able to watch Colette's Colette, don't watch me. But we can all learn from each other. So this is very healthy. So this will be up. I'll have this all posted on YouTube later today. So you're up, Colette. Let's have some fun.
Okay,
Pitch
well,
me.
as you and Michelle know, Alan, I did go a little bit rogue.
Yeah, yes, you did.
I know, you were losing your patience. I could tell, like, hey, you gotta reel you in.
Well, you know what she was doing was she was reaching out to sponsors really well. She's really good at that, but we had no attendees page up. We didn't have anything
I
ready.
know. So let me just say this, and I honestly haven't really looked at all the material as far as the script, but I've heard it now, so I know kind of what we're doing. And I promise you, I will make sure I internalize, and I'm sure you'll make sure. But so what I've been trying to do, because I've been having kind of a hard time thinking of which, who is going to be my sponsor. I'm getting more and more, like my mind is opening up to more different people and finding out, what they do. Like Progressive, that's one that I didn't know before that literally does sponsorships, for average, and mostly any company is going to do that. But I don't know. I have kind of a one-track mind. And so what I thought about was, the education. I've worked in education, and my PhD is going to be community psych. And so and if Michelle's been able to take a look at my stuff, I've kind of changed it up a little than what we originally talked about. And it's because I kind of really want to do an extension of the book, a circle, if you will, kind of thing, like a community kind of thing that includes men and women and young people.
Oh, so you've been kind of changing actually tweaking the concept of the show. So you're not, you're saying you don't feel confident, but you don't have a log line, right?
No, I do actually feel confident with it because I've spoken.
Well, then why aren't you pitching me? Pitch me. Let's go.
All right.
Go,
just
come on.
to lay the groundwork. Okay.
Yeah, we don't need all that.
Like this
we don't
this is the
need
gentleman that I called, okay? And I knew him and I didn't even think about him right away, but he's like one of the superintendents or one of the big shots, let's say, in the school district for the town I live in.
Okay.
I interviewed him a few years ago I was doing some articles for the Enterprise, the local. So I'm gonna call you. Okay. Hi, Alan. How are you? Hi, Alan.
Oh, you know what? Okay, here's something I'm going to say this though. It's a different call when you've worked with someone before.
But I didn't know that he would remember me, and I still don't know that.
Okay, so it might be kind of a cold call.
Yeah, it is, because I was reluctant to.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that we're doing.
No, it's not like
really
my best
about
friend
cold
or
calls
something.
today.
No, but I love talking on the phone. So I got him on. He had some time, and oh my God, he was telling me his health issues, poor guy, and everything.
All right.
So anyway, hi, Ellen. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
I'm really good, thank you. My name is Colette Tracy. And I don't know if you know me or remember me, but a few years ago, I did an interview with you for the Enterprise. And I'm calling now because I kind of have a new project that I'm doing. And I wrote a book, and it is called Both Sides Now: Reflections for Women at Midlife.
Okay.
Yeah. And, it's about women. It's about women at midlife and some of the changes that they go through, and how life, kind of happens that way. And it's really meant to be kind of a support for women. And I've also done Bella Stories, The Best of Both Sides.
Okay,
and
so what's going on? Why are you calling?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the whole thing is, I'm doing a podcast. Okay. So I wanted to see if perhaps Plainfield School District might be interested in participating with me.
Okay, in what way? Participating now?
Well, I'm looking for sponsors, right? So I'm looking for financial, but I also had an idea about to bring the school into it on the podcast. And this kind of idea has really spun off in my mind to a lot of different things now, which I won't go into. And I'm thinking about having the school district get involved and be a part of the podcast, and not only a sponsor, but looking at that sponsorship for a 10-minute spot for advertisement, but also really to put some of the school on, or the powers that be, on the show. And wanted to see what you thought about that. I can give you.
Well, what's the price point on that? How much are we talking about? What kind of, because we've allocated a lot of our budget for this quarter. So,
Yes. Right, I've got that. Yeah. So we can do like we can do 10 minutes, a 10-minute spot for 3,000.
I'm sorry,
Or-
when you say a 10-minute spot, what do you mean? You want us to do like an infomercial and talk for 10 minutes on your show?
It would be advertising, right? We can do that. An advertisement of the school. But the other part of it, yes, for not an advertisement of, not an infomercial, but actually talking about some of the topics that are part of kids' lives today.
Okay.
Women.
So I'm
women-
gonna break in.
Mhm.
You're really going rogue. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Okay. So this is a multi-layered, very complicated deal that you're trying to work out with someone.
Mhm.
And you're not being definitive about any of the points. You're almost
Mhm.
being accidentally evasive. Okay.
Mhm.
So if I
Mhm.
say, how much is it? Because
Mhm.
we've allocated our budget, you should just come right in and go, all right, here's what I want to do. I want to do, if we're doing advertisements, they're going to be, 20-second advertisements that you'll provide. It's going to be $3,000 per. And I'm doing, first of all, I don't want you to phrase this as a podcast.
Mhm.
Podcasts are defined very
Podcast.
differently to me.
Yeah.
This is, in fact, to me, a canned show is not a podcast. And we want, because
What's it called? I'm sorry.
a canned show,
Oh, canned.
CANNED,
Yeah.
canned,
Okay.
because it's a full season. That's an entertainment industry term for a full season, right? What we're doing is we're releasing the whole season
Mhm.
at the end. So that's not what a podcast does. Podcasts, they release one episode at a time, and people that advertise on them, it's digestible income, disposable income. People are either listening to the podcast and they hear the ad, or they're not. Just like
Mhm.
if you're listening to the radio live, you're going to hear it, the ads in between music, or you're not. That's not
Mhm.
what we're doing. We're doing a recorded audio show.
Mhm. Okay.
That's, you're doing
Recorded audio.
season one. I phrase it as you're doing season one of a is yours 10 episodes, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing a 20-minute show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 20-minute show is 10 episodes. So
Okay.
so that's how I want you to phrase it. Phrase it, that way. And then just come out and don't be evasive, say, um again, I have that full season price point that none of you are using. Oh, for 3. So remember, if you only give them the price point you want them to buy,
Yeah.
you are allowing them to say no,
Yeah.
because it's a yes or no question. It is a rule in sales that if you give someone a yes or no question, they're going to say no. So you never do. Instead, you give them 2 options: the option that's horrendous
Mhm.
and the option that's the target.
Mhm.
The school system's not going to buy an $80,000
Yeah.
season, which is why you're going to harp on that in
Right.
that pitch. Listen,
Okay.
whoever, and I would phrase it like this: I go, whoever becomes my full season sponsor, and I've got 2 spots for that, it's going to pay $60,000 for that. So I'm
Mhm.
looking for $120,000 from full season sponsors. But I'm also doing group ads where you can buy them individually at
Mhm.
$3,000 a pop. I've got 10 episodes. I really targeted you for about 3 of those.
Mhm.
So really we're looking at 9,000.
Mhm.
You see how that works? I
right.
just put 60,000 and 120,000 out there, but then I came back and said, I'd really like 9 from you.
Yeah. So this is the thing. This is
Yeah.
a thing for me. And when I've been in sales, but different, maybe different, obviously different. But I usually never talk about money up front. No matter. That's why I'm a little hemming and hawing, because I usually never talk about money on my
Right.
first.
So it is different kinds of sales. When you're
Yeah.
selling advertising space, you have to go to the close, because if you don't, bye, Natalie. Thank you so much for being here. If you don't go to the close, they're waiting to find out what you want from them in this kind of sales call.
Yeah.
Remember, here, let me just say this. This is what you need to remember, is that in this first call, you don't do the close to actually close. You do the close so that they understand what it is that you want from them. So that then they're going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, and you're in this back and forth repartee. You're in this dialogue. Okay. But until you give them that, until you do that, they don't know what you want. And now they're confused.
Well, okay, but that is not how this call went at all. So, but I'm just saying, I mean, but
Yeah.
this is someone, maybe it's a little different too, because I have known this person.
I'm telling you right now,
My
the
kids
fact
went
that you
to
have a
school.
relationship,
Yeah,
a previous relationship changes things. There's
yeah,
already trust.
yeah,
When there's
yeah.
already trust, I'm going to say this, when I do business with people that I've worked with before, we don't need to talk about the money in the first meeting either.
Yeah, we were not, and we were just more or less, talking about we really got into and maybe I shouldn't do this, and maybe this is where I need to learn. It's a different kind of sale, but we went into the meat and potatoes of the podcast. What is the product, right? What is it? And
So that's
that
again
hit
deeper
home.
waters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But he wanted to know that because, like we're
course.
talking about the students and talking about, things like depression in kids. I've contacted hospitals
Well,
already to talk.
let me say this to you. Okay. The
Okay.
fact that you had a back and forth with him means that you won that phone call. But let me explain this. Okay. One, you were able to get into deeper waters quicker than you will with cold calls because you had a previous relationship.
Yeah.
And two, when you're pitching a show to people that, when it's a cold call, you can't get into that. You need to let them, just like I was talking about with Natalie and Jinetsu, you run them over if you get into meat and potatoes before they ask for it.
No,
You
but
give them a 1 or 2 line log line, and that's it.
yeah,
And then you throw it to them. And then you let them ask you the question. And when they might say right there, and it probably happened in that first phone call you're talking about, tell me more about the show, or tell me more about what we're going to do with the students. But
Yeah.
you understand that if they ask you,
he did.
then that's
he did.
success. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's why it works. You didn't
we had
do
a
that
major
with me.
conversation.
You just ran me over, though. In the pitch you just gave me, I didn't ask you.
I know, but I'm much more natural with people. I mean, this is role playing, so I'm not knowing. I could say, "What do you think?" but that wouldn't be correct either. So
but first of all, I have a script. So get with Michelle. Make sure you're looking at the materials that from workshop 1, you have the script, right? Now you can adapt that for your own style and your own language a little bit, but not the beats.
Got it.
There are beats. And this one I'm trying to teach you is the beats. When you don't have the beats down, the other person is waiting for you to what do you want from me? I don't know what's going on here. I'm now on the phone with you for a long time, and I don't have a price point. I don't know what you want. You've mentioned sponsorship. Now you're talking about being a part of the show. Now you're talking about something else, and I don't know what's going on. Like
Mhm.
I got lost in that conversation.
Okay, but the reason I said being part of the show was because he says they do that with NPR, right? They're doing some of that. And I said, well, what is the show? I mean, are you doing about some of the subject matter that I want to talk? No. And he said, this is part of our school,
Yeah, but I
you know,
don't care what you talked about with him.
okay, in general.
I'm talking about you were pitching me.
Hmm.
So I wasn't role playing him. I wasn't
Hmm.
pretending to be him in
Right.
that phone call you had that I never heard and wasn't a part of.
Hmm.
You've got to be able to crisp pitch 1,000 different people with 1,000 different personalities.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
same pitch.
Yeah.
So and you've been in sales, so you know how some people are mercurial, some people are inquisitive, some people are shy and hold back. There's
I can
different
always
kinds of people. But the point is that um the opening that I have in the script that I have is meant to get that first bit out quick. The log line is not about getting into meat and potatoes yet. That's
Mhm.
deeper waters material. Now, again, you can get into deeper waters from there. And that's what I talk about in the workshop. And that's what I talk about in the worksheets.
Mhm.
And, but we want to make sure, first of all, that they understand the pitch and they understand the one-to-one alignment. If they don't, you'll never sell them and you didn't go there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I have a question too. So, I mean, that was different, and I know him, and it's probably 50-50 whether it's going to happen or not. He wanted to talk. He obviously had the time, but I have called like hospitals and talked to them, and and then I'm actually filling out a sponsorship form, not for a grant, but for a sponsorship.
Mhm.
And they want some things in writing. So, and then I've got other people from Progressive that they want something in writing. So
Okay.
that's another thing too. Like, how do I'm not really adept at using an email as my pitch.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
that.
one, I have in those post workshop materials, I have the written pitch. I
Okay.
have that. That's one. And two, you're going to work with Michelle and make sure that you have, first of all, once you have the attendees page,
Hmm.
okay, um, you're going to be able to give them that as part of like, here's a link to my page so that
Right.
you can see more about the show and you can see my promotional video or whatever when that's up. But again, what do they want in writing? Do they want the offer? What do they want?
They want to know what it's about, like
Mhm.
I called like Progressive, and even on there's three women that that handle advertisement and such, and
Mhm.
marketing in that respect. And they said, please let us know what you're looking for, lay it
Right.
out what you want, blah
That's
blah
right.
blah. So
So
yeah.
so
Yeah.
again, what they're looking for is the exact thing that I've provided in that written
Okay,
worksheet.
good. Then I'll just use
They
that like
want the log line more than
yeah.
anything else. And you can tell them in there, I have a copy of my ebook. I'm really happy to send you the book.
Yeah. And I definitely would be willing to do that. No
And
doubt.
and all that. They want to know, they want the pitch.
Yeah.
And so you give them a log line, you say, I've got the book, and don't give them like some people will write out a whole giant thing.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to
I'm
read that.
gonna use yours verbatim because
Good.
I mean,
Okay.
let me just say, that's not an area that in my years of sales that I got into, and I
Mhm.
still will avoid emails like the plague.
That's
Don't.
okay. If
It's
they're
all about
asking,
this
yeah,
or
I agree with you. You're never going to sell anything,
no.
finalize a sale through, but when they ask for written materials, then
Yeah.
now we've got to have those materials ready.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about with at the beginning of this, with how we prep ourselves by putting everything, in our social media, LinkedIn, and tying everything in together and having a copy of your ebook ready for them. Like, okay, you want to know more about the show? I'm basing the show on my book. Here's my book. Give it to them. You know what I mean? and give them the log line and say, here's the copy of my book attached, you know, and they'll skim it. They don't have to read the whole book. They can go, oh, this is great. And then you've worked with all these universities. So here's some people, here's the universities I've worked with.
Well, the problem,
Or-
and I'm with a lot of all kinds of schools, all for
Yeah.
the last, 10, 12 years. So
Right.
it's really high schools that I need to target because
Mhm.
many of the universities already have their own podcasts. So high school, they haven't gotten there yet, I don't think. I'm just starting to do that research, but
Okay.
it's like they
I mean,
don't.
universities also have more funding.
Yeah.
But you're going to see like where this journey takes you. You might be 100% right about that. You might get a bunch of high schools to, put in. We're not looking for, total riches here. 15K and you've paid for the season, 30K, you've paid yourself, 60K, you've paid yourself even better. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to do.
So,
So
Alan, like, if I want to do like a they're gonna, can I couple two sponsors, to one, or can I add on to, can I do whatever I want to do with that, or how would that work?
what do
'Cause,
you mean?
Well,
I'm not,
yeah, I was thinking like, I want to maybe like on one episode, would be affiliated with the school. Maybe I would have someone from the school, or we'd be talking about the school. And then maybe at the same time, I'd have
So
someone.
I want you to separate. This is very important. Separate having guests on the show from selling advertising space. They are not when you start to get into and this is also actually all three um creators kind of are trying to do this. I know your hands up. You can ask your question in a second. Let me answer this. I When you try and overcomplicate the pitch by going, okay, we're going to sell you advertising space, and I'd like you to be a guest on the show, right?
Mhm,
You
mhm,
can say that. Just understand what you've done is that one person is not going to be able to say yes to all those things generally, unless they're the CEO of the company or whatever.
right,
You're talking about, those are two different people probably that have to handle that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, in
So
fact,
who are you pitching?
in the hospitals, they said, look, we're not paid to play. The doctors being on the show or whatever, we're totally separate from that department. And I talked to the other department. Yeah, they're the ones that do the sponsorships.
Mhm.
But the people that are gonna be talking on the show are totally separate. at
That's
least in
going to be, I'm telling you, that's 100% of the time. So
Yeah.
when you do a double pitch like that, you're putting here's how I would handle it. I would handle it by saying, by pitching, you need the money first, right?
Mhm.
So pitch the ad. And
Yeah.
then once you're in those deep waters,
Yeah.
you can say, listen, by the way, I know you don't handle this, but I'd like the contact here at your company because um, you know, because I'd love to have someone from your company as a guest on the show. Who handles that? And then you're
Mhm.
not pitching them. They're just
Yeah.
going to tell you who to pitch. And then when
Yeah.
you get on the phone with that person, the ammunition is, hey, I'm talking to Jerry over in, advertising about buying some sponsorship ads on my show. And I thought it'd be great for you guys to send one of your executives or send, to be a guest on the show. So
Mhm.
Jerry sent me over to talk to you. And now you're
Mhm.
not trying to pitch Jerry on something he has nothing to do with. You're just
Mhm.
focusing it. You keep
Mhm.
these pitches separate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way we do it because again, the KISS rule. Keep it simple, stupid. Always remember that as soon as you start overcomplicating things,
Yeah.
you have to pitch that.
Yeah.
And then these pitches, you're going to get,
Very
they're going to
elaborate.
get lost in the woods.
Yeah.
Even if you know what you're talking about, they're going to get lost. Like, oh, I thought we were talking about advertising space. Now we're talking about guests on the show and how we're affiliated with high schools. And I don't get it. I don't understand what the action plan is. No, here's what I want from you. I want $60,000 from you to be a full sponsored show. And he's going, no, I'm never getting you that. Or how about if we just do 3 of those at $3,000 a piece? And he goes,
Mhm.
oh, 9,000. I could
Mm.
swing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
all we want.
Well, like today, I'm going to be filling out the sponsorship form for Northwest Medicine.
Okay.
I'm going to be doing that. So I'll look at what you've got and just to explain to them what I'm looking for and not talk about bringing them into it or not, what we're exactly looking for.
Right.
And
Well,
I'll
what
do
you
that.
can do, is you can say you can do add-ons with the like if you listen for 60 grand you can do a full season, and if you do that, we'd love to have one of your executives on the show.
Mhm.
Or you can just come in as a regular show sponsor at 3 grand per, per 20-second ad. Well, I've got
Mhm.
10 episodes. You can buy as many of those as you want.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's a way to frame it and get that in there, and it's in its own place.
Yeah,
You
gotcha.
see?
Not
You see?
convoluted into everything.
Because later on they can say, listen, we're only gonna do three ads, but we'd really love to have a guest. We'd really love to send one of our people on your show. Can we work that out? And you go, yeah, we can work that.
Mhm.
It's fine. I'd love to have you. It's great for
Mhm.
both of us.
Mhm. Yeah.
So then you can you know what I mean? You can introduce it and then you can forget about that later.
Yeah. Right.
Go
As
ahead.
it's
I know you've had your hand up for a long time. It's you, Nancy.
Yeah,
Thanks for
I
being
mean,
patient.
so yeah, man. So the question that I wanted to ask you, first of all, two questions. One for Natalie, for Colette, and another one for you. For you, so with people like ExpressVPN, they basically have a automated sort of a system where you have to send them an email for, I mean, whatever it is for their influencers, and then after that they get back to you. So I don't know. I mean, they usually don't necessarily call you or text you if they don't want to do anything. So they won't necessarily give me a phone call because they've got so many people who are actually asking for this.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know what I would do in that instance, because it's gonna be one of those where it's mostly a written pitch. It's not like a verbal pitch. So I'm gonna have to have all of those emails, all of the information. Is that way I just start to give them the detail, or what exactly? For companies like that specifically, where there's no individual that I speak to or call.
Yeah. So the first thing that we do is what's generally called a pre-inquiry letter. Colette is clearly a master at these because you're getting responses where people want to know more. That's what you want. You want someone to respond and go, that sounds interesting. Tell me more.
Mhm.
And if you get that, it means that your initial outreach was successful. Because the
Okay.
goal then, and Colette even said this earlier, the goal is to eventually get past that and get into a meeting with someone where you're talking to them on the phone or in a Zoom where you can pitch them. And so it's about creating sort of a series of materials. Is that how you do it, Colette? Because that's how I've always done it, where I have the pre-inquiry letter and then I have a more expansive
Yeah,
response. But
because
how do
with
you do
this one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
know
with
what you're
this,
saying.
sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead if you want to, but I know. He's saying that there's no opportunity. This is what drives me crazy about sales today, honestly,
Yeah,
because there's
right.
no opportunity to talk to someone, get an appointment, get in front of them. No, you've got, okay, send us an email. That's it.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like he said, it's automated. I don't do that. And I haven't really done it. So that's why I'm looking to you too for that. And I think, if you've got something in writing, that's what we should probably use. But,
Mhm.
or should we try to like, maybe not like just kind of like form letter it, whatever, but kind of try to avoid those kinds of options or
Yeah,
like,
if they're look, here's the reality of our situation is that it's a numbers game, right? You're already finding, Colette, um that you're getting some responses, right? So
yeah,
your initial materials are working. If you want to share some of those initial materials that you use with the group, you know, because you're getting what if they come back and say, I want to know more,
mhm, yeah,
then you're winning. those materials are winning materials. That's all my materials are meant to do. And but again, it's about giving them the log line, listen, I want you to be, a sponsor of the show. Here's the log line. And don't give any pricing in these emails. Don't do
Yeah.
anything with numbers in the emails.
Okay.
You want to save the 3,000, 60,000, all that for
The
when
pitch.
you're on the phone with them.
Yeah.
It's like, let's talk about it. And you want, when your attendees page is up and you have the promotional video up, you're going to learn more about the show. Go to my page here, boom, check out my video, check out my promotional video on it. And if you want a copy of the book, I'd love to give you a copy of the book. It's all about kind of one-to-one alignment and going, kind of like, you can even put it in the email so you can see why I'm reaching out to you, because our messages are clearly aligned. You are perfect to be a sponsor of my show.
Mm-hmm.
And with automated messaging, if you can't get to a person, that's them. They're broken. You know what I mean? Their system is broken, but you just have to find the ones who you can get to.
Yeah. And that's what I've been doing. I'm sorry, how do I pronounce your name?
Onesu.
Onasu. Okay.
Shay Unetsu.
Yeah.
Shay. Oh, Shay.
Shay Unetsu. Yep.
So Shay, that's what I've been doing. I really try to avoid, but I mean, you can't, obviously some people are getting it through and they're getting these sponsorships or whatever. And I'll tell you the truth, for me, I don't, I will use this. And I think what I'm going to do is a combination of what you've written, Alan, and what we've gone over today and what I do. Because for me, I've got what the old timers used to call like a gift to gab, right?
Yeah, right.
Especially on the phone. It's very, very easy for me to talk to people. I can read them very well on the phone because I don't have a distraction to actually look at them. When I'm looking at you, I'm a little distracted. What color is your shirt?
My nice shiny blue shirt.
So I seriously, that's a distraction. So if I'm on the phone, I'm like really intent and listening and trying to hear everything I can. And that works for me. I think my problem though, is taking it from there to the closing.
Right.
I mean, that's where yeah, anybody can talk, right? But the fact is, I got this guy to talk with me for however, it was quite a long conversation and talk about his personal life and all the stuff. We talked like we were old friends. And then he said, well, I'm interested. He said, I think I can get this, let's talk about it. And can you send me some information?
Right. So when he says, can you send me some information? He wants you to close him. He wants to know how much it's going to cost so that he can then look at the budget that he has and that the company or the organization has. That is specifically a line. Of I need to know the math. I need to know the particulars.
Yeah.
And I need to know some additional details. You're going to give him your book. You're going to give him the attendees page, and you're going to give him, basically, the finance. You say, listen, let's talk financials. Don't put the financials in the email. Say, let's talk financials in our next phone call. It won't take long. Here's all the details about the show. Don't ever put that stuff in the email because it's the same as a yes or no question.
It's too easy. Nope. Sorry. Never get back.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
So
I always say too, Alan, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, I'm done.
When I talk to somebody, and they say, oh, would you send me some information? That's the kiss of death to me. Okay. When you talk to somebody and you've engaged with them and you've gotten them on the hook, so to speak.
Right.
That's when you can send, because to me, it's okay, see you later.
There's two kinds of, can you send me information? There's, can you send me information at the top of the call, means you lost the phone call. Can you send me information 10 minutes into the call means you won the conversation.
Yeah,
Because you're building that relationship and they need to
Yeah.
see those materials. So
Yeah.
those are two you're right
Yeah.
about. If you say, yeah, if right after you give that logline, they're like, oh, send me some information. You're never going to hear from them again.
no,
And actually, that's a great objection that we need to put in the sheet and how to overcome that.
yeah,
And,
because it
you
is.
know,
It's like,
well, really, what it is to me, the way to overcome it is to go, I just want to make sure before I do that, that, that we're clear on, why we should be business partners. You understand why I'm calling you and what, what, or I should say, how our messaging correlates. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that for a minute. And then, you know, and then they can either tell you, no, I didn't get that, which is why they said send me information and want to hang up with you. But now you're engaging them. So you overcome the objection of send me information by saying, before I do that, I want to make sure, we're clear on why we should be business partners.
yeah, yeah,
And that's, for every objection, there's a way to overcome it. And
mhm,
and if we have little speeches that we've prepared ahead of time, that you guys just have that memorizing, just clicking, it's like, tell me about this production company, New Degree Studio, and you give them the 2-sentence blurb on that, and and then they say, well, my budget is kind of allocated for this quarter, and I answered that in my objections thing, my worksheet on that, and it's like, and they go, oh, okay. Yeah, we can actually work it out so that we pay you in the third quarter. That's okay. We can do the deal now, pay you in the third quarter. That's fine.
mhm,
So let's talk about it.
mhm.
All these things. Go ahead, Shinatsu. Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah. Last question for
Yes.
Colette would be, so with regards to progressive, was it a general form where you have to fill in, or was there a
No.
contact maybe?
No,
Okay.
I actually, got through to them on the phone. It took me, like, it's not going to happen fast. You're going to go through millions of people. It seems like, and they're going to say, oh, I'm not the person, but oh, do you know who the person is? Can you give me their phone number? Oh, let me see. Okay, let me switch you over there. And then they're like, oh, no, I'm not the person. But
Yeah.
then you're either going to get transferred over there, or you're going to say, and you don't even really want to you want the phone number so that in case you need it again, you're going to need it again probably.
Yeah.
And so but they're a big one because there's a site that said something about the top 30 sponsors on podcasts and such. They were one of them.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how it goes. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to reach out and see. I'll let you know how it goes. And, you can do that too if you want to. But you do have to go with the email, and I mean, I have their phone numbers, each of them.
Well, it's going to be problematic for two creators,
right?
To go
Yeah.
to call the same sponsor. It's the same pitch, and you give them the like you're coming from New Degree. But that's not. It's like then what happens is that might ruin them sponsoring you. They might go, oh, we're being targeted by New Degree Press.
I know.
Who are these New Degree Press guys, and why are they targeting us?
But
Rather
the thing,
than, so I want each creator to really have their own list.
I know. So, okay. So like Shay, the thing is, just, sometimes you just got to be good on the phone, and, it's not easy because they try to make it hard for you. But the thing is, find people. I always say, honestly, that everywhere I go, I make a friend, right? And how do I do that? Because I'm always going to say to somebody, hey, this is what I'm really trying to do. And not go into it. Like, I like to chat, right? You've noticed that, right? So, but this is what I'm trying to do, and I don't know how to get a hold of it. Tell the gatekeepers that. Tell them that.
That's
because
exactly.
9 out of 10 of them will help you if they can.
And this is what, again, I talk about how to get past secretaries and all that in one of my forums on it, and it's exactly what Colette is saying. If you're honest, See, they're
Yeah.
looking for dishonest people that they can
Yeah.
hang up on. When you're
Yeah.
honest, you go, listen,
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing, and this is who I'm looking for. And it said on your company website, it's this guy Gary Matthews. Is Gary still with the company? Is Gary still doing that? They go, no, actually, you're looking for, Adam Jones now. Let me transfer you over to him.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how people
Yeah.
will be so willing to help you
Yeah.
if they can. Most people want to help. If somebody
Right.
asked me to help and they weren't hurting anybody and they weren't harming anything, yeah, even if I'm a gatekeeper, yeah, believe me, I've done a lot of work over the phone in sales through the years. It's been primarily at least how I get in the door.
Mhm.
I don't ever knock on a place cold calling without being invited in. So
Yeah.
that's just how I've always done it. But
Yeah.
it's getting harder nowadays. It's getting a lot harder, you know. So with this email me crap and put it on our portal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to
most of them are gonna, most I think are gonna be portals because I think most of the sponsors that do the podcast, with what
Yeah.
I've been seeing, is that they're either looking for individuals that already have a pre-existing audience and
Yes.
maybe,
Yes.
or they'll just give you, or they want a lot of detail,
Yeah.
plenty of detail. So I've already done ExpressVPN, ZipRecruiter, and I've already spoken to 2 of those, and they've already come in and they've said that they'll get back to me very, very soon. They've asked for more information. So that's why I was a little bit more pressing in terms of just trying to get a little bit more in terms of that information going out,
Mhm.
seeing as it's a new show that we're
Yeah.
trying to get them to sponsor without them having seen
Yeah.
pre-existing material.
But the
and all
great
rest.
thing about it for both of you is that you have pre-existing material. It's your books. So the
Yeah.
fact that your books, the core, whether it's the 9 pillars in your book or it's everything about women empowerment in your book, Colette, there's the core nature of what your shows are about are featured in your books. And so you have the pre-existing material and you should use that and go,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a free copy of my book because I want you to know what the show is going to be about.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
the first thing that, we did in our pitch was, hey, my publishing company loved the book so much they want to do an
Right.
audio
That's
show.
great. I didn't even think of
So,
that.
so then it's like, why don't I send you the book?
Right. Right.
People they want a free copy of the book, right?
Right.
They don't have to read the whole thing, but then everybody wants something free. Oh, can you send me some literature? I'll do you one better. I'll send you my book. How's that for
Mhm.
literature?
Hmm.
Oh,
And I would
okay.
say, say also, Shay, anything that you've sold a lot of your books, right? You said you're making good money on it. If you're on a best-selling list anywhere, make sure you tout that because for me, oh well, you may have heard of these schools that I'm teaching my course in, right? Duke, American
Right.
University, like all of these little schools, Northwestern, and that's like gets their attention, right?
Yeah.
Even especially if they don't know you. People who know you, they're gonna, oh yeah, I know your family. This guy, your kids went to the school. I met you before. You were writing for the newspaper. That's easier. But when you're trying to meet people cold, you have to use what you can to try to impress them. And like Alan says, you want to go do it quickly when we're on the phone like that. But always there's always to me, and maybe this is not the way to close this kind of sale or anymore, but always another call. You always want to be invited back.
I
You
know.
always,
I talk about it all the time. The reason for a meeting is to book another meeting. And that's an
yeah,
old sales adage.
yeah,
You're right, but
yeah.
here's the problem. The only problem with this, Colette, is that if you don't get to a close, they don't know what you are looking for.
And they're gonna lose interest. They're
Yeah.
gonna I think that too. Like they're gonna lose interest by the time
So
you get around to it.
well, the other thing is that, again, they can mull, okay, do I want to do 6,000? Do I want to do 9,000? I really like Colette. I like this show. Now I'm going to vet the book. Let me look at the book. Oh, I really like this book.
Mhm.
She's doing courses at Duke.
Mhm.
yeah, I want to be involved with this. So
Yeah.
now let me talk to my boss. Hey, boss, I've got this. Can I clear 9K for this? We'll do 3 ads in this. We'll be sponsored on this. Boom. And now you've got a 9K sale. So if
Mhm.
you haven't given him the price, if you've avoided that,
Yeah.
then he can't
Make a decision,
he
a real
can't,
decision.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unlikely that you're gonna close them in the first call, but it's you're not going to close them in the first call that you close. So if you wait till the second call to give them the pricing, you're still not going to close them in that call. They have to think it over.
Mhm.
So you want them to have that information early
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
they can, and it doesn't matter if it takes another 3 meetings to get there to where,
Mhm.
okay, we've locked it down. We're going to do 2 ads at 6K. Good. Doesn't matter if it takes you to the 4th meeting to get there.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
okay.
I feel pretty good about Northwestern Medicine. I'll tell you why, because I left her a message and she called, it was like a Wednesday or Thursday. She called me first thing Monday morning and she told me, "Do you have information?" And I said, "I'm working on that." Okay. She said, "Well, here is our application. At least get that done for the sponsors for the money." Right. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking maybe that could be a good sign.
That
You
sounds
know?
like a very good sign. And
Yeah.
again, when they're calling you back, when
Yeah.
there's verbal interest there, you
Yeah.
know, you just keep working that relationship.
Yeah.
You know this, you said it yourself, and you've done it with lots of sales. It's about building those relationships, right?
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you you know, and so um that's what it's about. Simone, thank you. We're gonna wrap this up in a minute anyway. But since we've done a good more than 90 minutes, about 100 minutes, that's okay. So, but we had a lot of really um, good work today. A lot of, we got some pitches done, and you got to see, the good and the bad with your pitches, which is
Mhm.
where we are early in the process. But we got a lot of good questions and answers. Shinetsu, one more thing. Is that is your hand is still raised? You have one
Okay.
more question? No,
Oh,
Shinetsu. Oh, you take your hand down. Take your virtual hand down. Get your I get this yellow hand in my face. I think you want. All right.
all
Um.
right.
Uh. Michelle, any words of wisdom or just a goodbye from you while you're here with us?
Um, I think today was a really great learning experience, both for myself too, as to what I should be directing with them on, as far as like questions that can help like direct them in the right direction when they're doing their pitches, especially if they're practicing their pitches. I think everybody's going to be moving in the right direction now that we've had this workshop. I think it was really good in that regard.
You all went rogue. I knew it.
I think it kind of comes down to the idea of like not knowing what to expect, and until you've actually gone through it, you can't really completely cater to what you need to be doing. And so I think this was a great way to really kind of set the bar as like, this is what you can expect from a cold call with someone you don't know. Obviously, as you were talking with Colette, there's going to be some variance there if it's somebody you already know that you're reaching out to and kind of reestablishing on a relationship that's already set. But I do agree with Alan in regards to like less is more. Businesses are trying to make profit for themselves just as much as getting themselves out there. That's why having your log line and your pitch being only 1 to 2 sentences that are direct to the point of what the show is about and what's it going to do for them is like highly important there. Businesses don't care about the fluff language. If they do, they'll ask. But before that, they want to know the what and the when and the why real quick. So I agree with Alan on that. To the point, concise answers, and being as straightforward as you possibly can, because that gives them the idea of like, yes, I want to move forward with you, or no, this doesn't sound like something we're interested in. So that way you're not wasting their time. They're not wasting your time. That's like the big thing for businesses. But yeah, good job, everybody. I think this was a great like first trial. I think a lot of questions were answered. A lot of stuff was learned. So I think it'll be good moving forward.
Thanks for your wonderful insight as always, Michelle. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up here, and I'm gonna have this available on YouTube later today. I'll post it up. And it'll be available for review anytime. So
All right.
have
Thanks,
a
everybody.
wonderful rest of your day, and thanks so much for spending the time and doing the work today. I
Thank
Yeah.
you.
appreciate
Thank
Good
you.
job, guys. And Colette, I'll see you in an hour.
All right. Take care, Michelle. Bye.
it. Bye.
Everybody.
Thanks, Eunice. Oh, you're muted, but thank you.
Thanks.
Take care and good night to you.
Okay.
It's late for you.
Have
Get a
a
good
good
night's
one. Have a
sleep.
rest.
You too.
Okay, shout out. Thanks.
Take care.